I'm Marc.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV episode number 158. This week, we're back with the best comics of the week. We'll also run through the list of Eisner nominees and give you our 2 cents about who we think got left off the list. This week, I will start with my pick, which is American Vampire Second Cycle number 2. This is written by Scott Snyder with artwork by Rafael Albuquerque. This is essentially the second chapter, or the second half of the American Vampire saga, which restarted recently. American Vampire has been one of my favorite comics from the very beginning, and I'm not a huge vampire fan, just Snyder writes some really great stuff. And the artwork by Albuquerque is outstanding. When it wasn't Albuquerque, it was Sean Murphy, and it's just great to see these guys consistently putting out some really quality stuff. This issue, we see Pearl, who's one of the main characters from the series, in the 1960s. She's living in her hometown back in Kansas, and she's running kind of an underground railroad for vampires. There are people that are turned against their will, that, they're vampires, but they aren't necessarily falling in with the evil vampires. And it turns out that there is a group, it's the Carpathians, I guess, is the really bad guys.
The classic vampire.
The classic vampire, and they want to get rid of everybody else for the most part.
Vigo, the Carpathian, I believe.
Vigo. So she's protecting these vampires, and they happen to be children, the ones that she's trying to protect, and trying to set them up with new identities and get them out of the area. And we see some familiar faces in this. We meet some new characters in this, and the thing that struck me most was the pacing with this issue. I felt like I was watching a thriller on TV. Like, my pulse was racing, I was turning the pages, I couldn't wait to see what happened next. And the other thing that I really liked about it is that it made me want to go back and reread all of the previous stuff. That's always a sign of a good book. If you like it enough that you want to go back and check it out again, I think it's doing its job. So it's not too late, definitely, to get into American Vampire. All of the previous issues are collected in trade paperback and hardcover format, and if you can find a copy of Second Cycle number 1, you're back in the swing of things. So, highest recommendation for American Vampire.
You know where you could find a copy of that?
Where?
At Alter Ego Comics. Next up, new number 1 from IDW, Star Mage, written and created by J.C. Delatorre and art by Ray Dillon. So we pick up on a kid who's in middle school, maybe early high school, and he's getting picked on. It's a fictional tale. These sort of things would never happen in the real world. And it is revealed that he is not what he seems. He's actually the chosen scion of a race of star mages from across the galaxy, and he's lost his heritage. His parents, or the people who raised him, didn't inform him of what was going on, and it's very cool. It's classic hero's journey, a little Last Starfighter feel, because stuff just pops up, and it's just a lot of fun. If you like Star Wars, you like Lord of the Rings, you like a kind of a classic epic tale of a hero rising up with magical powers and spaceships, this is the way to go. That's a classic genre now. Magical powers and spaceships, yes. Heroes rising up.
In your mind, yeah.
I thought it was a lot of fun. Very human parts in the parts where he's a kid, but also a good sense of wonder in the magic space stuff, and just lots of fun.
And who published this?
IDW.
IDW, folks. Star Mage. Batman Eternal number 2 is also on my list of great things this week. Hey, look, it's also written by Scott Snyder, along with his protege, James Tynion IV, and the other Bat writers, Ray Fawkes, John Layman, Tim Seeley. They are consulting writers, and only one artist, Jason Fabok, or Fabok. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but I really like your art. It looks a lot like Jim Lee. And it's very cool. So Batman Eternal, of course, is the new weekly series from DC Comics, and Commissioner Gordon's in trouble. He's seeing things. He's shooting unarmed men. He's now in prison, and I can't tell you too much more without spoiling some things, but it looks like there's some Batman continuity working its way into the New 52 universe, taking something from prior to the New 52 and admitting that it did happen, perhaps. Right. We see a character that has not been seen in the New 52 yet, but played a pretty prominent role in some Batman stories of the early 2000s. Is that fair to say?
That is very fair to say.
All right, so Batman Eternal. There are a lot of Bat books to choose from, and those of you that are current comic book readers, you know what I'm talking about. If you're trying to get into a new Batman book, I definitely recommend checking out Batman Eternal. It's going to come out every week, and that's, in my mind, a good thing, because we're getting a whole lot of story every month. So I don't know what else to tell you. There are lots of things to choose from. Great things every week, but I think Batman Eternal #2 should be on your list.
Yeah, I liked Eternal 1, but I thought Eternal 2 really grabbed me. It was well laid out, tied in. Next up, from DC Comics, a little book called Batman, issue 30, written by who? Scott Snyder. With art by Greg Capullo. This is let's see if I can get this right, this is the first part of the third and final act of Year Zero, Zero Year, which has been going on telling us the story, functionally, of how Bruce Wayne became Batman, the things before Year One, when he's still sort of evolving into what will become the Dark Knight. And this is...
Carry on.
So, this is the start of Act 3, and in a 3-act drama, the end of Act 2 is you make everything the worst possible way it can be. So Gotham City is kind of boned. The Riddler has taken over everything. He's generated a superstorm with wicked technology. He's taken Poison Ivy, or Pamela Isley, I guess she may not technically be Poison Ivy yet, technology to basically seed the whole place so it looks all overgrown and like after humans and post-apocalyptic. And everything is awful. The Riddler's basically ruling Gotham with an iron fist, or with a iron wit, perhaps, is a more apt analogy. And Bruce Wayne has taken a pretty hefty blow to the head and been incapacitated for some time. He's waking up, seeing what's happened to the world. And it's just really good. I've enjoyed 0 Year going on. I know for some people it's dragged on a little long, and an 18 issue arc is very long for a modern comic. But I think it's really starting to pay dividends. I love the way he's portraying the Riddler as not necessarily evil. Well, he's definitely got some evil edges, but he's not maniacal. He's not trying to kill people just to kill people. He's trying to make humanity better. He's trying to teach the people a lesson in a twisted way. And we've got Gordon again, and I think Gordon is classically, Robin is Batman's sidekick, Alfred is Batman's father figure, his family. But Jim Gordon is always kind of the other character in a Batman story. I mean, Batman Year One is a Jim Gordon story. Gordon was a significant influence in all of the Nolan movies. And I'm saying this is another thing where we see that Jim Gordon's really an important part, and this is where we see the early part of their friendship or their connection evolving between Batman and the Commissioner of Gotham City. So just great. Batman is still awesome. If you were tired of it before, maybe give it another look. You might find it's more interesting than you think.
More interesting than I thought it would be is Hulk #1. This is the all-new Marvel Now version of Hulk #1, written by Mark Waid, art by Mark Bagley, and Mark Waid, of course, wrote the previous series, Indestructible Hulk, and that gave us Bruce Banner going to Maria Hill at S.H.I.E.L.D. and offering his services as a scientist in exchange for hulking out whenever is necessary to defeat bad guys, so that Bruce Banner can get access to S.H.I.E.L.D.'s resources and put a team together of scientists that he can work with and help develop things that will make the human race better. So that was the Indestructible Hulk side of things. So I had not read that series probably since issue 1 or 2. I read a couple other issues when Walt Simonson came on board and did his magical artwork. But I didn't read the previous issue of this, which was the last issue of Indestructible Hulk. And I thought this was great. The beginning of the book starts off with a brain surgeon being drafted by S.H.I.E.L.D. to come in and try and remove 2 bullets that are lodged in Bruce Banner's skull. And he's being kept sedated so that he doesn't hulk out. Turns out that the surgeon is a former classmate of Bruce's, so there's a lot of kind of flashbacks and how the surgeon looks back on the way that he kind of teased and taunted Bruce Banner in the past. And then stuff happens, and the Hulk shows up, and he's got like an exposed brain, and by the end of the book, I'm left going, wow. This is going to be a really interesting story. So that the last page of this one is kind of interesting, and it's something that we've never seen before with the character of Bruce Banner and the Hulk. So I am eagerly anticipating the next issue, which may show up next week. I don't know. It's a Marvel book.
It's a Marvel book. They come out all the time.
It could be 2 weeks from now. It could be 4 weeks from now. But Hulk #1, continuing the line of impressive all-new Marvel Now #1 series, #1 debuts from Marvel Comics. They're blowing stuff up. The stories are excellent, and we've had this discussion before. I don't know. I think we talked about it briefly a couple episodes ago. Forget the numbering. Nobody likes the numbering. Nobody likes the Marvel Now, all-new Marvel Now, this, that, and the other thing. The bottom line is they're telling some great stories over at Marvel Comics right now.
And over at, who's this? Oh, Boom Studios. We've got a new number 1, Translucid. This is the brainchild of Claudio Sanchez, who you may remember from some band, something about a Cambria and Co-Man.
You do know this, right?
It's Coheed and Cambria.
Okay.
Yeah, I was doing a bit there, but it's cool. Also known in the comics world for writing Amori Wars and Kill Audio, which have been very popular series. And this time he's got a partner on the writing side in Chandra Eckert. And the book's illustrated by Daniel Bayliss. And this is an original book set in its own universe, but it's basically about the love story between Joker and the Batman. Or not just the love story, the relationship between Joker and the Batman. You've got an older protector of the city who's been doing it for years and is tired. You've got his nemesis who's a criminal mastermind galloping around, gallivanting, and coming in. And it's about the dynamic. It's about, that scene in Dark Knight when he's upside down and saying, we're destined to do this forever. It's about that dynamic. It's about what drives them and what keeps them from killing each other or what makes them want to kill each other. And it's just really, really good. This is a story you could never get from Batman and the Joker, partially because DC wouldn't do it, but also because there's a certain classical element to the archetypes. Whereas in this, they're creator-owned characters. They can go wherever they need to go, and they don't have to worry about what Batman book's going to say next week. So, just really great. If you like The Killing Joke, if you like any book where the Joker is the main character, the protagonist, this is definitely something you want to check out. Even books like Kick-Ass and Badass, I would say, you're probably in the same vein here. So, Translucid 1 from Boom.
Any book with the name ass in it.
And if there's some ass in there,
yes,
ass, acid, whatever you got.
An honorable mention. I shouldn't say an honorable mention, but there were so many really good books that came out this week. Borderline great. It was difficult to narrow it down to just a few to talk with you about today. But Ms. Marvel is back on my list. This is issue number 3, written by G. Willow Wilson, artwork by Adrian Alfona, and I'm just very impressed by this series. Anytime that Marvel tries to kind of shoehorn a new character into the Marvel universe, I'm skeptical. And I think the world is skeptical, but I don't think... My gut tells me that this was not a Marvel thing, that this was a G. Willow Wilson thing, where she approached them with a pitch that they thought was cool. And that's what this book is. It's cool. It's a 16-year-old female superhero of Muslim religion. Is that right? I was trying to phrase that correctly. So this character is unlike anybody else in the Marvel Universe, and they kind of did the same thing with Miles Morales a number of years ago. And it's just great to see a new, fresh character in the Marvel Universe that is fun. I don't know what else to say. Much like Nova, much like Miles Morales, Spider-Man, Ms. Marvel is an excellent book. It's one of the best books that Marvel is publishing right now. And another great thing about it is it's a book that we can give to kids of a certain age, because the children are our future. We must teach them well and let them lead the way. I could sing the rest, but I'll pass. You wanted to sing the rest.
No,
you were about to bust in on the Casio
not gonna
keyboard.
happen.
Yes. So anyway, Ms. Marvel, if you're not reading it, you're missing out. Seek out the first 3 issues and read them and tell your friends, and let's get more people reading these new Marvel characters so that comics stick around for many, many years.
And speaking of new Marvel characters, let's talk about the oldest, or one of the oldest of the Marvel characters. We've got Superior Spider-Man number 31. This is the series finale. That's right, the Spider-Man book is canceled. It's over. You will never see a new book until 2 weeks from now when Amazing Spider-Man number 1 comes out. But this is the kind of culmination of the story that started in last... What
698.
Long Goodbye?
Amazing 698, right?
Yeah, but what did they call the storyline? It was called something. It doesn't matter.
I don't know. The death of Peter Parker?
Yes, the death of Peter Parker. And to be dying, there's some... It doesn't matter. So this is the end. This is where we see, if you read the last issue, or even if you didn't read the last issue, it still happened whether you were there or not. Peter is back in control of the body, and this is the final confrontation between Peter Parker, Spider-Man, and both the Goblins who have taken over New York and Goblin Nation, and all the crap that has happened to his life while Otto Octavius was running it for the last year. And it's very good. There's a lot of balls in the air. I mean, you just giggle because of balls.
A lot of balls in the air.
Balls.
When Spider-Man swings around the city, there's a lot of balls in the air.
And Slot is doing a good job of giving you a...
managing those balls.
Managing the balls. Slot's got a good grip on the balls. And comics are fun. Yes, Spider-Man 3-1. We've got the lead story with that. We've got a backup showing fallout from the whole thing where Peter kind of reconnects with people important in his life. And then there's a tag-in at the end that's actually Slot's part of the Silver Surfer book from Marvel .1 All New Now, which you should totally check out because this was the snippet that made me excited for the Silver Surfer book. And it's not what's in Silver Surfer 1, so if you missed it, so you should totally check it out. Yeah. Dan Slott, great Spider-Man stuff, set up an interesting place to pick off in the new book.
Yeah, I mean, it wrapped up some things kind of nicely from his run on Superior, but also set up some things that Peter's going to have to deal with a lot of crap. I don't know what's going to happen, but I think the Parker luck is in full effect with this issue and moving into Amazing Spider-Man. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great wrap-up. All right, another thing that we are head over heels in love with here at Alter Ego Comics is Sex Criminals by Matt Fraction and Chip Zdarsky. The first volume is now available. It's issue 1 through 5.
5, yeah, that's all there is.
1 through 5, that's all there is. $9.99, very much like the first volume of Saga, in that we were singing its praises as single issues when they came out, and then the trade came out, and the first volume of Saga is now our number 2 best-selling trade in the 9 years that we've been open. So I'm hoping that Sex Criminals moves its way up the chart fairly quickly. It's just such a good book. It's good comics, and we've talked about it before. If you're comfortable with the subject matter, then more power to you, and you're going to enjoy it more. But the bottom line with this one is it's just good comics. It's written extremely well. The artwork is great. Relatable characters, real world, for the most part, situations that any adult can relate to. So good.
I concur.
And
this edition is great. It's got all of this book was popular, so it went through a lot of print-ins in the single issues, and they did some really amazing covers for the second printings. All of the multiple printing covers are in here, except I think the last one to cover 1, which was just a photo cover anyway.
The only drawback, again, is you're not getting the letters columns that were in the single issues, and those were worth the price of admission just for that. But you do get some supplemental material that they haven't printed before, which was an interview with a website where they do kind of like a radio drama.
And it's like a radio drama, yeah. Which I would like to hear a recording of.
Yeah.
I want to hear Matt operating a phone sex line or whatever.
Best new series, says USA Today. Comic of the Year, says Time Magazine. Yeah. We could just pull those 2 pull quotes and assign one to me and one to Josh instead of USA Today and Time Magazine. And everyone else here, including Amanda and Alex, both dig it as well. So Absolutely. Pick it up. Sex Criminals Volume 1 is available. If you haven't checked out the single issues, now is the time.
And if you recall from, I believe it was issue 3, there was a... rights issue for a song.
Did you look?
I did look.
Did they fix it?
From a certain point of view. It's different than it was in the issue, so I'll let you check it out.
All right, well, speaking of Sex Criminals has achieved something unique among the comic book world, in that it was nominated in 2 different categories for the 2014 Eisner Awards, which will be announced at San Diego Comic-Con this year. So we thought
it's not super unique.
Well, it's not super unique.
I think Saga was in both last year, wasn't it?
Saga probably was. The big story is that Image Comics had 20 nominations. And awards are awards, and I guess we can't get hung up on who gets nominated and who doesn't, but these are voted on by comic industry professionals and nominated by those folks. So it means something. So we're not going to go through everything, all of the nominations, but we wanted to highlight some things and some omissions as far as we were concerned. And the first one is in the best single issue department. So most of these are things that I've never read. Demeter, which was a self-published thing by Becky Cloonan, a Love and Rockets story, and I don't read Love and Rockets. I can't even pronounce the next one.
Buatron.
Yeah, that's it.
Buatron 2 by Sam Sharp.
Yeah, Watson and Holmes, number 6.
Also self-published.
Paradigm Studios, don't know what that is. But the one that caught my eye is Hawkeye number 11, which was the Pizza Dog storyline. Pizza is my business.
My business.
And we both felt that the best Hawkeye story this year was not that issue, but was the issue with the Brian Wilson Beach Boys-esque storyline where Kate Bishop is trying to help this guy with some mental issues, who is very much a Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys type character. We both loved that issue.
Yeah.
And neither one of us were overly impressed with the Pizza Dog issue.
No.
So they didn't ask our opinion, I guess.
Yeah, I liked it, but it wasn't the best issue of Hawkeye, let alone the best issue of the year.
Yeah. We jumped down to Best Limited Series. The Black Beetle, No Way Out. And I really need to check that out. Francesco Francavilla is such an amazing artist. I've never read any. Actually, I think he did a story in Batman Black and White, or he did a Batman story at one point. But I haven't read anything that he's written, so I need to go back and check that out. Colder by Paul Tobin and Juan Ferreira from Dark Horse. Dark Horse is sweeping this category. 47 Ronin, also from Dark Horse. Trillium by Jeff Lemire over at Vertigo. And The Wake by Scott Snyder and Sean Murphy, also over at Vertigo. And those two series are excellent. Sad to say, again, I haven't read the top three. But one thing that you pointed out that you thought was missing was...
Injustice. I don't know where it falls, because there's a lot of weird lines in this. I mean, because you've got things adapted from another medium, which Injustice really isn't, except it sort of is. But, I mean, pretty much the universal response to the Injustice comic to anyone who's read it is it's really, really good. It's a limited series. It falls within the confines of this category. And I would easily say it is the best limited series DC's published.
In a long
I can't think of a better one that they published in the immediate past.
I think you might have to watch the definition of limited, since it was a 12-issue series, and you could argue that most Marvel books are limited series now, because they only make it 12, 18, 24 issues, and then there's a new one. But yeah, I agree. Injustice was amazing and should get some recognition somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't think...
Best New Series.
Oh, Best New Series. Okay. Why don't you run through those?
Well, Best New Series, we've got High Crimes by Christopher Sabella over at Monkey Brain. We've got Lazarus by Greg Rucka and Mark Lark from Image, which we love here. Rat Queens by Curtis Wiebe and Ron Upchurch from Image. This category is not bad, but Sex Criminals by Matt Fraction and Chip Zdarsky. And Watson and Holmes again. I've got to check that out.
Yeah,
it seems like it's a good thing.
Watson and Holmes.
But that's still from Paradigm Studios. But there were a couple in this category that we felt deserved some attention.
Yeah, I think Superman, Wonder Woman probably could have been acknowledged in this category, and 10 Grand from J. Michael Straczynski.
Absolutely.
Thought that was a really excellent new series this year. Okay, let's go to... Yeah, my only issue with this one, it's best publication for teens. And this, I'm probably more sensitive to this stuff because I have two teenagers, but Battling Boy by Paul Pope, Bluffton, My Summer with Buster by Matt Phelan, not familiar with that. Boxers and Saints by Jean Luen Yang, Dogs of War by Sheila Keenan and Nathan Fox. Are there more than 5 in this category? March Book 1 by John Lewis, which I have read and which is excellent. I think everybody should read. Templar by Jordan Mechner and Liuing Pham and Alex. I'm going to stop talking now because I can't pronounce anyone's name. But I really think that Nova should have been thrown into this category. I think it's perfect for teenagers. And I hope next year we see... I'm fairly certain we're going to see Ms. Marvel in one of these categories next year.
I would hope so.
But this one seems to be a perfect fit. So I would have liked to have seen Nova in the best publication for teens category. Best writer. This one is like an all-star list, and it usually is, but occasionally there'll be a writer in the best writer category for the Eisners that I've never heard of before.
Right.
Not so much this year. We got Kelly Sue DeConnick writing Pretty Deadly and Captain Marvel, among other things. Matt Fraction for Sex Criminals, Hawkeye, they list Fantastic Four, FF, pretty much everything.
He wrote both of them. They were both good.
He did. Jonathan Hickman, East of West, The Manhattan Projects, Avengers, Infinity. Scott Snyder for Batman, American Vampire, and The Wake.
Not sure how much American Vampire he actually wrote last year.
Last year, I think he wrote, there's a one-shot.
Yeah.
A short story. Eric Stevenson, who is the publisher of Image Comics for Nowhere Men, and Brian K. Vaughan for Saga. That is an incredibly strong lineup of writers there. But I think that 2 were omitted that should have been included. And one of those is Charles Soule. Number 1, he's the hardest working writer in showbiz. He's the hardest working writer in comics, writing 37 titles a month. And the majority of them I truly enjoy. Letter 44, She-Hulk, Superman, Wonder Woman. You've been digging Thunderbolts lately since he took over.
Yeah.
The other person I think that is missing from this list is Gail Simone, who's been writing Batgirl for a very long time. This year, or last year I should say, she launched Red Sonja, she launched Tomb Raider.
Well, Tomb Raider was this year, but yeah.
It may have been this year.
We're on issue 2, so I should hope it's this year.
Yeah. Eric Stevenson, to me, should not necessarily be on this list. And Nowhere Men just didn't work for me. Many people enjoy it, but I think substituting Charles Soule or Gail Simone would have been great. And, I'm not taking anything away from anybody. And this isn't meant to be a slam towards any of the people that did get nominated, just people that we would have liked to have seen been nominated. Carry on.
We're going to Best Writer Artist?
Best Writer Artist.
Best Writer Artist. Now, this is a person who does both jobs. And we've got Isabel Greenberg for the Encyclopedia of Early Earth, which I've heard is very good. Jamie Hernandez, or Jaime Hernandez for Love and Rockets New Stories. I've picked up several Love and Rockets. I can never get into them. I don't know if it's me. Terry Moore from Rachel Rising, who's always good. Luke Pearson for Hilda and the Bird Parade. Matt Phelan for Bluffton, My Summer with Buster, which is back again. Judith Vandesdale from When David Lost His Voice from Self-Made Hero. There aren't a lot of people in this category. I mean, there aren't a lot of writer-artists anymore. It's by and large split up, except when you're talking about passion projects. But I would have really liked to have seen Lee Weeks from Daredevil Dark Knights. The first 3 issues where he wrote and drew was my favorite Daredevil story last year.
Yeah. Which
is saying something because Wade did a lot of great Daredevil stories last year. But that Weeks one was really, really compelling.
Yes, I agree.
I would have liked to have seen that.
Oh, let's go. Anybody we're missing from here? Best penciler / inker or penciler / inker team. Great lineup of people in here. Nate Bellegarde for Nowhere Men. Nick Dragotta from East of West, or for East of West. Sean Murphy for The Wake. Nate Powell for March, Book 1. Emma Rios for Pretty Deadly. And Thomas Yeats, Law of the Desert Born, a graphic novel. The omission that we feel from this category would be Chip Zdarsky from Sex Criminals, or For Sex Criminals. The book is definitely written extremely well, but it's one of the, again, I said it earlier, it's great comics, which means it's a good connection or collaboration between the two.
Right. And I think the most compelling argument for Zdarsky here is Sex Criminals is a very sexually explicit adult book, and so is Satellite Sam, both written by Matt Fraction. You've got Satellite Sam drawn by industry legend
and creator of Black Kiss, Howard Chaykin. And then you've got Zdarsky drawing Sex Criminals. And really, neither is significantly dirtier than the other. They're both very adult-themed books. But, I almost don't want to show people Satellite Sam. The covers, the layouts, it feels dirty. And it's a great book. I love reading it. I think the story's really interesting. And I think that's I think they're intentionally trying to make you feel sleazy. That's the 50s kind of darkness, and it's like Mad Men, slapping people in the ass and whatnot, except it's way worse than that. And Zdarsky is telling things that are in some cases more explicit and makes it really human and relatable. And, he's drawing things that are basically obscene and making it funny. And that's a rare talent, I guess. Yeah, I would say Satellite Sam is Hustler, and Sex Criminals is Playboy. So there's the airbrushed kind of soft stuff that Zdarsky does. Do what you will of that. It just popped into my head.
Did you find the Playboy in the woods?
We should have some discussion groups on that. Anyway, we'll go through best cover artist here, and we don't have a whole lot to say on it other than some very familiar names are popping up. David Aja for Hawkeye.
Which is my favorite for the category. The Hawkeye covers.
Mike Del Mundo for X-Men Legacy. I think he's doing the covers for Elektra, too. Sean Murphy / Jordi Belair for The Wake. Emma Rios for Pretty Deadly. Chris Samney for Daredevil. Love his stuff, too. And Fiona Staples for Saga. I think Zdarsky could... I don't know how to pronounce your name, Chip. Is it Zdarsky? Do I pronounce both those consonants at the beginning of your name? He could have been included in this category, and I meant to research this before we started shooting, but the cover artist for Batgirl recently
has been
been amazing. I don't know that person's name, but Josh will research it and put it into the video by the time it goes up.
Maybe.
Let's
see.
So that's it for the Eisners. It's just...
Well, I want to hit this one.
Do you?
I do. Best lettering.
Oh, come on.
No, seriously, best lettering. First of all, look at some of the names we got. We got Darwin Cook, Terry Moore, Ed Pisker, Britt Wilson. Okay, now we're out of people I know
Carla Speed McNeil.
But there's 2 people. First of all, I just want to point out that Todd Klein is not on this list. Todd Klein has been nominated for Eisners for lettering every year I've read the Eisner nominations.
Did he not?
And he's won a bunch of them. No, he still letters half the stuff Vertigo puts out. But again, and it's very good work. But the real one that I want to bring in, and this didn't fit well anywhere, is I want to see Fiona Staples in more categories. She was nominated for Best Digital Art, or Best whatever they call it. They've got 2 separate categories.
Best painter / multimedia artist.
Right, so penciler inker is your traditional drawing, and if you're doing it more digitally, that's the category you get into. Which is fine, because it is very digital art. But, the lettering, when she does the hand-lettered stuff for Hazel's little voiceovers on the cover is... just amazing. That's the only time this year when I looked at lettering in a book and went, oh, that's good. So I I want to see Fiona Staples on there. Maybe for colors too, which she wasn't nominated.
Oh, she was only nominated for cover artist and best painter / multimedia artist,
right.
Interior art. But we love Fiona Staples. Everybody does. Really strong list of nominees this year. I'm very curious to see how this all shakes out. And hey, I get to vote, so I'll be voting for the Eisners, and hopefully the people I like will win. But that's the thing, and that's so many people have said this over and over again. We are truly in a new golden age of comics. There are so many great books to choose from, covering interests and genres across the entire spectrum, that there's no reason why everyone should not be reading comics. People that like movies, people that like TV shows, people that like novels, people that like plays, people that like music, people in general. There is something for everyone, and that is what I hope all of you take out into your world and help the people in your lives to realize that comics are for everyone. And hopefully we can keep everybody reading and supporting your local comic shops. The one thing we don't have on here is the list of Eisner nominees for Best Comic Shop. And I do know Double Midnight Comics from New Hampshire is on there, and Acme Comics from North Carolina is on there. 2 stores that I truly admire, so we'll be watching that one as well. That's it. No top 5, sorry, but we ran through the Eisners for you. Leave your comments below, share with your friends, share with your family, and keep on watching. See you next time.